Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPBlab, episode number 77. Today's topic is building a social network in your existing WordPress site. Before we get started, we like to introduce ourselves. I don't know why, but we always do that, and we like to be rude, and it's kind of, I guess it's an American thing to do. So, Bridget, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Bridget Willard. I'm the marketing manager for Give, the most robust online donation plugin for WordPress. You can find out more at givewp.com.
Awesome, Bridget. You can find me over at Jason Tucker. I'm a IT person, and I take care of a bunch of stuff over a local church, and I manage a bunch of WordPress websites, both big and small, and medium and tall, and all that fun stuff. So that's what I've been doing. So this show, we're talking a little bit, water cooler has always been about kind of bringing people together, and WPBlab has always been about bringing very specific people together to talk about very specific topics. And this one in general, or it specifically, is regarding social networks and how you can take your existing WordPress website and turn it into its own social network. So you're not having to kind of have that information stored elsewhere. You could literally have that stuff stored in your WordPress site. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about this, and we thought we'd bring in some experts. So Brad, apparently you're an expert, because I said that you're an expert. So
they just set the bar so high. Don't put me on the
Brad, you've been on water cooler before, right? So if I remember correctly, at least once you've had to have been.
Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a little while. So you're a SoCal native. You've been doing this stuff for a little while. Give me an introduction between the two of you. How did you two meet? And then we'll kind of introduce both of you.
So yeah, I'll kind of give the Reader's Digest version. I don't really want to admit this, but before WordPress, unfortunately, I was using Joomla, and came across a social module extension in that realm community, and connected out to the owner, and ended up finding out that the CEO of that company who took over lived about 5 minutes away from me. So it took me about 3 to 4 years to finally tell her to convert it over to WordPress, and stuck with it. And now we have a extension plugin for the WordPress to build online communities, and that's how I met Eric, and helped co-host the North County WordPress meetup. Was on the 2016 WordCamp committee, so love WordPress. Use it for a lot of my side business stuff, and pretty WordPress integrated into all the stuff I do.
Nice. And Eric, you've been so you came from a Joomla background, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Actually started out working for a hosting company, and then moved to Joomla. And actually, the project that Brad mentioned was taken over by Marav Knafo, who was the owner for Peep, so the plugin that we make. And Brad finally nagged her enough, so she decided to go into WordPress, thankfully. So here we are, and we make the social networking plugin for WordPress. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But the whole background again is we all have to come from somewhere. So coming from Joomla is, I think, coming from Joomla to WordPress is just an evolutionary step forward. Sorry to all the Joomla people out there who are listening to our WordPress podcast. But,
Well, we typically think of Joomla and Drupal as kind of bad words to say on a WordPress podcast. It's kind of like if we were to ever do ads and we did a Squarespace ad, we would cringe, by having to do that. But
we saw the light. That's the moral of the story. We saw the light. We converted over. We saw the benefits of it. So we're here now, and I've been involved since 2006, and never looked back.
That's awesome. I remember talking to you early on, Brad, about the project, and about kind of this thing that you're going to be building, and how you're going to do it, and how you're going to get all these people involved in it, and what your involvement was with it. And to be perfectly honest, I was like, why do we need a social network on WordPress? I understand that there's other forums, and there's all these different things that people are using to do this. And I never really understood back then, why would you want a social network? Why would you want the burden of having to be your own Facebook and having to deal with all the stuff that comes with it?
I think I remember that conversation pop in my head, and the look of confusion on you, and I was just like, you don't get it.
No, I totally get it. It's just does by buying the product,
I don't get it.
or, by buying the product or by buying any of those products, like, does it also come with a fleet of people that you're going to need, like this like huge entourage of people that you need in order to be able to run that network?
No, and I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, we all live in our own little niche communities in our lives, and we're coming into this technology world, and how do we translate that from what we do in our daily life in our communities and bring it into a platform that we can interact with each other technology-wise? And how do we do that? And you don't really need a big team to do it, which is the beauty of it. And Facebook has its pros, and obviously it's the biggest social networking platform out there, but there's all these little niche communities within our own little world or the bigger world that kind of want that detailed attention of content that's only relevant to what that community is there for. And so it's a good way to kind of bring it all online and bring that content together in a platform where you can interact with each other. So it's an easy way to do it.
Well, that's a good point you brought up about, those niche communities. Bridget and I run one of those on Facebook, using Facebook to do this. And even all of us as WordPress folks are somehow involved in some type of intermediates in WordPress on Facebook, beginning Facebook, social media for Facebook, people born in January that use WordPress for Facebook, like every small little piece that's out there of Facebook, with WordPress type things, are running these communities in those groups that are built into Facebook. And so, like, why would somebody want to start doing their community in their existing website? Is it to keep them on the website, or is it because that you can give? Is there better tools that are involved in that? What do you think, Eric?
The thing that draws people most back to the websites are all the notifications and all the social interactions. And Facebook can only do so much. Granted, biggest platform out there, and it has amazing possibilities. It's been developed right now for over a decade, has a billions behind it and whatnot. But you never get that feel of a small community. Even if you're a part of a Facebook group, people come and go. Sometimes you may even want to be a part of a group that you don't want to advertise for whatever reason. And that's one of the reasons why people turn to smaller communities. The other one is, if you have your niche, you found your own niche, you will be ensuring that those people who are coming to your website, who are commenting on your blog posts, who are interacting with you, most often they're looking for other ways to interact with you. And doing it so in the comments under a blog post, it can only give you so much. But starting your community, you get to interact with your users more. They get to interact with each other. They get to form new friendships. And not all blogs have their own Facebook pages or Facebook groups and whatnot. So that's the thing, the interaction between people and the feeling of belonging to a community, or the community for most of them.
I mean, I think you could even go into this could be a whole separate topic about privacy and security and who owns that data. I mean, that's a huge element to having your own and not having somebody else control that and what they do with it. Now you're in control of that content and people and data that, you're not giving to somebody else for whatever their means may be.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think a little bit about how there are people out there that just don't want to have anything to do with Facebook at all. They none whatsoever.
Yeah, there's a dozen.
Yeah, but there's those people that are like those key people that I'd love to be able to interact with that just absolutely refuse to use Facebook to do stuff. And you can find them in other places, but it's a very specific tip. Yeah, exactly. So, and we also have that generational gap.
Repost that terms of "don't share my privacy" thing.
Right, exactly. But there's that generational gap, and it's interesting because the generational gap that I'm talking about isn't the older people, because the older people are all on Facebook. It's the younger people that are looking at this going like, okay, this is not Snapchat. The things that I say on here don't disappear. The things that are going on, I could be held accountable for at some point. And you have those sorts of things that are happening. I guess you could say that by having a community that's on your own website, you could even limit that into that type of thing as well, almost like a forum or something like that. I remember, back in the days of using like vBulletin and using there's a couple different ones. They're escaping me at this point, but those types of things where you have a bulletin board type system that's running on the site. It's a forum, and you can kind of jump around between the different forums and stuff. I'm seeing that where you could definitely do that sort of thing in WordPress, especially when it comes to a plugin like yours.
Well, yeah, and there's different types of communities out there. So depending on what you are and what kind of community, you're gonna relate that content to, and kind of your branding and mission statement to that. And a question and answer thing could even be used as a support tool, which we have. And people want to ask questions, or people just want to ask questions to get help. We ask questions of each other all the time, and there's platforms or little groups out there to what's the best plugin for this or whatever. And this is kind of a one-stop shop where you have a lot of people with the same mindset that might have that answer to your question.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is if when you create your own community, you have all the people, you can basically empower them, just to put it in short words. You can empower them, because then you can, I wouldn't want to use the word offload some of the work on them, but they can definitely take some of the load off you, because if someone asks a question on a community and other people know the answer to, people like giving advice in general, not necessarily receiving advice, unwanted advice, but like giving advice. So people jump in on topics, they advise to one another, they interact, and you don't have to do all of the work. So that's taking some of the work off of you. It's putting them on the users. They interact with each other. They starting to like each other and communicate. So that gives you some of the community buzz and shows other people who are coming that the community is alive. Maybe I should be a member of. I can join in on the discussions and so on and so forth. People start browsing and they get involved all the time. But the hardest part, granted, is starting up your community. So you get there. Facebook started as a small community for Harvard students, if I'm not mistaken, and right now it's everywhere.
Yeah. So who are the players in this right now? Like who are the competitors to Peep? So who are the ones that are out there that are doing this? I mean, the one that I think of all the time when I think about this, and I always think, oh, I don't want to manage a thing within WordPress, is BBPress. You have those sorts of things. You have BuddyPress. You have those sorts of things as well. What else is out there that's doing this that you guys have kind of looked at?
There's definitely BuddyPress, and the issue with BuddyPress is that it's in people's faces. You go to the backend of your WordPress site and you want to install a new plugin, that's the first thing that appears. And people more often than not, they install it, they remove it. That's pretty much it, because they don't know how to manage it. Peepso is kind of hidden. All the other extensions and plugins for WordPress which are doing a similar thing are kind of hidden, and people have to look for it through the search. But so we're trying to get there. But as people are mentioning here in the chat, there's Ultimate Member, there's MemberPress, there's Symposium, if I'm not mistaken, the name of the plugin. So there are a few options.
And I think there's a difference between membership plugins of having access to content than an actual social community and giving the tools needed to have a platform that you're interacting with, activity streams, groups, messaging, giving somebody access to a certain page or locking a LMS system out. There's kind of a misnomer of membership and community in that sense. But as far as the actual online social community, there really aren't that many out there. I mean, that's why you say it's hard to think of. And I think that was one of the reasons we really jumped into it and saw a need for people out there that wanted a really modern looking, easy, intuitive with, if you look in the back end, the analytics and stuff that's going on in your community so you can manage it well. And that's a big key of it, is being able to manage it well. It's like anything, going back to how do you start one up? If you have an SEO guy tell you can get to page 1 in a week and do all this stuff, it's not true. I mean, online communities and communities in general take a growth. It's like watering plants and seeding it and getting it going, and it's not this fast growth type thing. But if you want it, you can do it, and there's ways to do it and tools to do it to be successful and to do it the right way.
Bridget, what do you think about this? You were saying during the kind of opening here of, you're like, I'm not quite sure. I'm on the fence too. I mean, these guys literally they're giving us an hour's sales pitch, not even for their own product, just for the idea of, I want to build a community on my website.
So everybody knows I love Twitter the most. I've been using it for 10 years. Facebook, that's where everybody is, okay? Now, I get it. Especially if you're an abuse survivor and you're going to a support group, that needs to be locked down. That's not going to be a Facebook group, right? So that is a great use for a private social network on a WordPress site to replace a forum, which is outdated and hard to use. But a lot of times when you start accounts, you log in with your Facebook account. One of the most powerful things, and I remember Steve Zengit said this at SMMOC a few times back in the day, Jason, that the best part of Facebook is logging into other apps with Facebook. Right. So I don't know if you're not going to need Facebook in order to, I'm not sure how people create accounts. But I'm telling you right now, I will give the Antichrist my thumbprint. I do not want one more password. I don't want to use LastPass. I don't want to use OnePass. I'm so sick of passwords and accounts. When, what was that social network that came out and everybody was leaving Elo or something? Right. And they go, oh, this one and this one I can sue or something. I can control my own ads, and there's always somebody saying at every social media thing you go to, I hate Facebook, I hate Twitter, let's start our own thing. But what most people don't do, and these fine gentlemen alluded to earlier, is it takes work to build a community. No matter what tool you use.
Yeah, that is true.
It does.
You will have to spend time on it. There is no magic.
Nope.
Building a community, it's time, it's effort, it's time. Did I mention that it's time? And here's the thing, because I believe in relationship marketing with all of my heart. Like I said, I'm so excited. I finally got accepted to speak on what my real passion is, relationship marketing on Twitter at a WordCamp in 2 weeks in Ottawa. I will be there in Canada. I'm going to Canada. My company is specifically paying for me to go to Canada to tell people how I built their business by building relationships on Twitter. So I absolutely believe that relationships can be built on a social network. Okay, I'm totally on that. But what I think that people don't understand is it's not a plugin that's going to do this for you. You still have to make the connections. And I was telling my friend yesterday, we were walking at the harbor, and she stops and talks to everybody. She's one of those people. Do you guys have friends like that? They're like, I just want to walk, and I want nobody on the planet to bother me. I already was on Facebook and Twitter all day. Now I want to just walk. I just want to talk to her. She's making conversation with some lady that has a dog. Oh, I really like your dog. What kind of a dog? I said, oh, he's so cute. Hey, I think I've seen you before. I think we met. I'm like, why are you talking to these people? And then in irony, she says to me, why are you going to Canada to talk about Twitter? Like, what are you going to even say? I don't even understand how Twitter works. Da, da, da. I go, well, you know how you talked to that lady with her dog and you'd already seen her? Well, now you talk to her again. So you built on that relationship you already started. And then next week, when you see her walking her dog at the same time again, you're going to talk to her again. And this time it's going to be about how the hospital's doing. How's the nursing job doing? And, oh, how's your dog doing? Oh, he was at the vet. Oh, I'm so sorry. So I told her that what I do on Twitter is the same thing, or Facebook, or whatever social network. Insert your social network here. People are talking. You have to respond to them, and you do it. And here's the key that nobody gets, right? You have to care. And so she says to me, well, do you have to actually care, or do you have to pretend that you care? And so I said, if you don't actually care, it will be so transparent, be like a used car salesman, right? So that's the thing, is like, whether it's Peepso or BuddyPress or Twitter or Elo or Facebook or Google Plus or LinkedIn, no matter where you're building a community, or in person, wherever you're building your community, you have to be welcoming, which means you have to greet people. Or Slack. I started doing this in the marketing channel for WordPress. People join the channel. It says, so-and-so joined marketing. And then people just do nothing with that. This person joined your channel. You're going to say nothing. It's like they walk into your house. You don't even look at them. I say, welcome to marketing, so-and-so. Thanks for being here. It takes 40 seconds, but it makes a big difference. Now they're talking to you, right? So I think the key is that. And I will say that in WordPress, we're all about owning our data, right?
Definitely.
So
that's the part
that
in
was
this
my,
that
that
really
was my 7-minute disclaimer.
There's so many
Yeah.
key things that you brought up there, and authenticity is huge. People I think have a natural inclination to know when authenticity is genuine or not, and that can translate over into a community. And it's a relationship. We have one-on-one relationships in our community, and we have relationships on a global scale. And relationships are built on trust and integrity and honesty. And so you have to have all that stuff in your community and be genuine about it to build that community. And so when people really care, I mean, these niche communities are subsets of larger communities. So niche is you really care about that content and subject, and or talking to and interacting with other people that have that same genuine authenticity for that community.
So here are some of my questions. I work for a plugin company, and we also collect data, right? It's a form. So how does your plugin, or what are your recommendations for securing that data?
Well, I mean, we can call the security guys. But
no, I mean, like,
there's so many. I mean,
you recommend? Does it only work if they have HTTPS? Is there?
I mean,
some kind of thing like that?
With Google now, you're obviously for your SEO, you want HTTPS and security. You want to follow all the standard security practices. You know, you're gonna be have your backups ready to go. You know, daily backups, your iThemes. Security plugin, your security limit login attempts. You're going to check your logs. So, I mean, basically, you're just going to have all your standard security implementation like you would if you didn't have a social network plugin on your website. So that I don't think that changes or there's any heightened security. We're in a day and age. It's not when you get hacked, it's how you deal with it when you do get hacked. So hopefully those measures are.
Yeah, like Brad was saying, the thing is like from a legal point of view, it doesn't matter if you have a forum or if you have a social network, because there's no way to verify, at least not right now or easily, whether people are going to provide you with real data or aliases or whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can only do so much. So standard of course, security like SSL and so on and so forth, whatever Brad mentioned and everything that he mentioned should be it's a good starting point. Plus, of course, from a legal point of view, you may want to consult a lawyer if your community grows beyond a certain point and it gets more and more serious. But that's another step. That's another evolutionary step, if you will. But other than that, there's only so much you can do because we're relying on WordPress. WordPress can only be so secure. We're relying on whatever plugins, and they can only be so secure. Even if we secure Peep to be 105% unbreakable, from our side, we cannot ensure that other plugins aren't.
No, right. And I mean, I'm not trying to be controversial, but I'm just
saying. But there isn't that a benefit that you don't see is you do have community managers, just like you do in a group page. These managers are gonna keep track of who's coming in and who they are, and if they seem, there's ways to report them and have the administrator kick them out. So having that strong community within your site actually kind of helps because you're not going to get these random people come in that people aren't going to be aware of or know.
I totally get that. But what I was going after is people having those conversations and that conversation being part of your WordPress database. Like, how do you make, like, people in our chat are like, oh, I don't trust Zuckerman or I don't trust Google. Well, guess what? I trust Apple, Google, and Facebook more than I trust you guys. I don't know who you are. And I don't know how big your team is. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. So, I mean, I'm wondering if you have recommendations for the Bridget Willard Fund where we have a sex abuse forum. Like, if I wanted to start something like that where I really wanted that lockdown niche private social network, total best case for Peepso, right? Ideal use case. How do you recommend your customers what best practices do you recommend your customers follow to make their users feel safe in this social network?
I mean, I think you could take the dribble approach. They don't let anybody in unless somebody in the community they already know that's vetted out invites somebody else and gets them in. That could be one tool that you could use is have no.
Yeah, that's one. But the other thing is, if you want to have such a strict community, you can have, actually there's a setting, and administrators have to approve every single user before they let them in the community. Plus, you can secure it in such a way that no content can be seen unless you're logged in. And we're basing this on WordPress privacy when it comes to viewing pages and whatnot. So that's our base for it. So we're coming back to securing WordPress. But you can set it up as private as WordPress allows us to. So no logged in user can see content. And even if you log in, there are four privacy settings in Peep itself that allow you to choose. So you can either post something public for your friends. You can publish it for site members, so logged in users can only see it, or you can take a note just for yourself, so only you can see your post and whatnot. So there's so many ways to secure it. Plus, if you can also have like a paid community, so people have to verify themselves somehow with like credit card. It doesn't have to be like $100 a day membership. It can be like $5 a month. So nothing, but they kind of verify themselves again. So that's one of the other possibilities to let's say verify/secure people more, give them the feeling of security they're looking for.
I wanted to kind of change the topic a little bit regarding this, and you kind of brought up when it comes to memberships type sites. You know, earlier on in the conversation in the chat, we were discussing how these different membership plugins interact with WordPress.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that Peepso as well as your competitors also have these abilities to make it so that someone can log into the site and then start interacting with the site, not as an admin, but essentially interacting with them as somebody on the front end of the site, so that they can log in and make changes and update their information and update their posts and get into groups and chat and all those things that your product supports. We were talking about how there's a comparison between those two. Have you seen people using Peepso as just, I need to log in and I want to give them a place where people can start posting stuff on the site? Like that's all they were going to do, is just that part of it.
Yeah, there's actually I can't remember the URL right now. I remember there was like a half a year ago a community that we've seen. Someone had a technical question, so it came through our support. But the guy was using Peepso as basically a news posting thing. So he kind of modified it a little bit. So he used it instead of posting blog posts or whatever in WordPress. He just used the format that we give people with the community to you post your write your post. Right. People can like it, share it, and whatnot. So that's one of the things. But people create such communities all the time. There are communities which are kind of closed down because of privacy. We've seen quite, I wouldn't want to say quite a lot, but I definitely can remember. I'm not going to share the URLs, but there are some communities to like adult websites with adult, which you don't want to be a part of officially on your Facebook, let's say, profile. So that's also one of the reasons. There are some paid communities with paid memberships for whatever reason. Sometimes it's consulting, because we also have communities which, I mean, when I say we have clients who have created communities, right? They have paid memberships and they give people access to their own consulting community of experts, for example. So you pay a certain membership fee and you have access to all those people, instead of putting that on a Facebook group where you don't really have a way of easily verifying who's who, or to get payments for such memberships, and so on and so forth. So options are pretty much limited by your imagination and the software itself. But we're working on that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I brought that up is because when you're building a membership site, you typically will you have that membership plugin as a way of setting up a gateway for somebody to actually log in, figuring out if they actually paid for entrance to be able to get into it. And then they essentially get access to like a post or a page or a category that has been restricted in posts or something like that. And people end up wanting to do more with that, but there's nothing else to tack on to it. It's not like it's like, oh, let's just install, BuddyPress. All right, we'll install BuddyPress. That only takes a couple minutes. No. Like these things are huge pieces that get, tacked onto it. So after a while, what ends up happening is this person has built, a way of logging in, a way of paying for the thing, a way of being able to download the product that they're doing. And now they want to have like a support forum. Well, something like Peep would be perfect for this, because now at this point you can turn off all those other plugins that you're using and just use this one plugin that interacts with the login, making sure that they paid to get into the thing, and now they have a forum that they can actually get into and start interacting with it there. So I think when you're building, I guess what I'm trying to get at is when you're building a community like this, you may want to think further ahead as to, do I need a forum? Do I need a place where people can post things publicly or privately within a community? Do I need to limit them to a very specific way in which that they're going to be able to interact with the site? And if so, well, maybe you should think about the next evolution of your site, by getting into something that is going to allow you to do a very broad community thing.
Yeah, definitely. But the people usually, it's like I don't want to say every project, but you have a general idea of the project that you want to have, and it evolves, like most stuff. So you may want to start with one vision, but then life comes and verifies your vision, so you have to adapt to either your future community or building up community and whatnot, plus your budget, your hosting, and so on and so forth. I don't want to say themes, because sometimes themes limit you. You like the view of one theme, and the look of it, the feel of it, but it doesn't support whatever plugins, for example.
Right.
Or the other way around, some plugins don't support themes, so you have to adapt, adjust here as well. But what I'm trying to say is, but the very important point, and I want to touch on that, Bridget, what you brought up, is building a community is hard work. It really is hard work. Starting up a community, when you get to a certain point that it can kind of snowball itself, that's fantastic. That's like a huge milestone for any community. But starting up, getting people more involved, that is problematic and does involve a lot of work. And I'm not gonna, now it's easy just to install something and people are gonna automatically come. No, you gotta kind of lure them in with interesting content first. Then they're gonna help you build that content. But you cannot just set up a site with nothing on it, no blog post and nothing, and expect people to come. That's not how it works. And with time, you can definitely think, okay, I need a forum, I need a community, I need whatever other means of bulletin boards and whatnot. But no, you need to focus on one thing. So getting that focus also takes time. Plus, you can have, there's a way with Peep, so you can limit your users in a way. But that's actually what we did on our own website a few days ago, because we were getting some spammers.
Oh.
And we decided to actually, we have a plugin for that. People, if they're interested, they can go and check it out. But we have a plugin that allows you to limit users' possibilities. So let's say you're not able to post, comment, or do whatever if you don't upload your avatar, or if your profile is incomplete.
Oh, okay.
Or I can allow people to post or comment on, like, or join groups or create groups or whatnot when they fill their profile to a certain amount of percent per field, and so on and so forth. So this actually stops spammer users on our site. Plus, it kind of, in a delicate way, forced other members of our community to update their avatars. So now we actually know who our people are and what they look like, and they filled in their names instead of just using usernames. So
that's cool.
So that also brings another level to the community interaction. You don't just see a username, but you see a name, right?
Yeah.
So that's better.
That harbors trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And of course, if you want to have a community based solely on usernames and be kind of anonymous, you can do that as well.
So you have the choice as the website owner.
Yes, that's correct. So you can either use usernames, or you can use full names / real names. There's even a setting that that allows users to override that. So if they don't want to use their real name, they can use their username. You can disallow that as well. There's a lot of different variations, but again, it depends on the soul of your community, and then how you want it, how your people feel, whether they, it's a community where you want to use real names or not. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, and having the difficulty of building that community and growing it, hopefully you've picked or chosen tools and a platform that makes it easy for you, and you're not banging your head against the wall. And having the right tools is also part of the success.
That's huge. I'm sorry but I have to butt in. But I remember, and I'm not kidding you, when we came and we started working with WordPress, we came from Joomla background. Joomla, I know. But we started working with WordPress. We didn't know much about WordPress, and there's no demand that I'm not going to pretend that we were WordPress experts. So we
actually banged it in your guys' heads.
Yeah. So we had the base of Peep built by an American company, fantastic developers. So they created.
I think we all know him.
Yeah. So Dave Jess.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the guys, fantastic developers who created an amazing base for us to work. So there was a few months transition period, and Matt, our lead developer, spent a couple of months actually just browsing the code and trying out things to learn how it works and so on and so forth. And but anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, when we were doing our research and everything, not knowing anything about the existing community plugins for WordPress like BuddyPress, so I googled BuddyPress, and one of the videos I stumbled upon on YouTube was how to install and configure BuddyPress. I shit you not, pardon my language. The video was few hours long.
Wow.
Like 4-hour long video how to install. Yeah, I need to look for it. But there was like a 4-hour long video explaining how to install and how to configure BuddyPress to the point of it being usable. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched it all because I gave up like after a few minutes. Just go through it. And later on, when we released our Peepso, I made an instruction video on how to install and make Peepso work out of the box. And the video is 59 seconds long.
Wow, that's awesome.
4 hours, you install it and it works. Later, you just kind of have to adjust your copyrights, like, your email signature and stuff like that. But that's one box, like company name or website name, which is kind of pre-filled the name of your website community. So you could kind of use that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of WordPress plugins end up requiring you to either copy a bunch of code and put it into your like functions.php file, make a very specific plugin that's going to do something else. I want to do this type of customization, so let me install 9 other plugins that are going to kind of be supporting plugins to kind of make the the main plugin work. Looking at the way that
supporting plugins as well too. Look how many different developers are out there building supporting plugins that don't talk to each other, or don't know each other's code, and they're just out there building it. And so,
hey,
or you're just out there building it. You update something and then something else breaks, so your website widescreen, so whatever. That's why we have a very strict policy on updates, and we have a strict version log. And you update one plugin, you have to update everything else, whether it's just a version bump or whether there were some big changes. We ensure that updates, upgrades, they never break your site. There may be bugs, no software is perfect, but it's not going to widescreen your site. Yeah. Like we've heard cases, people coming from other plugins. Okay, I've updated that Photos plugin and I didn't talk with the other plugin, like you said, and it widescreen my website. So that's something that people also need to consider. But many are kind of layman in the topic, and they just install the first thing before doing the research or anything. But we can only do so much. So we really ensured that our updates don't break anything. Yeah. Plus, there's again a strict version log, and there's an API for third-party plugins to declare their versions.
Right.
So you declare which versions of our software your software works with.
Right.
And
so in case something's incompatible, it's disabled.
Say that again, Bridget.
Was it Bridget?
Yeah, Peepso's in the plugin directory. I just wanted to tell people that. It was last updated 2 weeks ago. Yeah. 1,000 active installs, requires 4.3, tested up to 4.8. 35-star ratings. That's pretty good, guys.
I mean, there's people out there that want free. I mean, the WordPress community loves loves free plugins, and there's a place for that and stuff. But there's also a place for those that have, you know, want a really nice, you know, something they can trust on and have the support team behind it. And I think that's kind of
plus freemium's the way to go. I mean, come on, in a business model.
Yeah, I think everybody's going freemium.
But you know, but this way we can ensure that we actually develop our software. And if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked, beginning of the week, BuddyPress was the latest version was released in March.
Yeah,
that's kind of a long time ago. And we have a release every few weeks, three weeks every month. That's like really stretching it. But every few weeks we have a new version. So you know, you pay for support, you pay for updates, you pay for making sure that we always work with the latest version of WordPress and it's being tested as well. We really have like an extensive test suite, but I don't want to get into that.
You could have a whole topic on unit or testing and.
Oh my God, I can talk about that for hours.
I don't know how many test days.
That I'm gonna have to ask you a hard question.
Sure, go for it.
So you do test against release candidates, and that's great. Give does too.
Yeah.
So do you have any concerns about Peepso and Gutenberg?
Oh wow, did you hear that sigh? That's awesome.
Bridget stumped a developer. You heard it here first on WPBlab episode number
77.
Does Matt have his pants on? Do you want to ask the developer?
Can I not have a comment on that?
Yeah, well, I'm concerned because the boxes. So, but you're testing against it. You've downloaded the plugin. You're checking it out.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen with that. The more I learn, because I go to a developer meetup every other month just to be able to, because I'm a marketing manager, just to be able to communicate with the developers that I work with. I feel like it's a language course. It's like me doing Duolingo for French, going to a developer meetup. But the more I hear, the more I go, strategically, I think this might be kind of complicated.
Yeah, it's going to be complicated. It's definitely going to be complicated.
Matt Cromwell was saying that Gutenberg is really JavaScript. It's a JavaScript dependency, and the only thing that really works with PHP, which plugins do, and that's what WordPress runs on, is React. So then my conspiracy theory hat comes back on. And I wonder if when Matt Mullenweg said to learn JavaScript deeply, he had already known that he was pushing for this. I mean, if you're a PHP developer that doesn't know React and you're a plugin developer.
Yeah, that's true.
If they're pushing for React, I mean, I think their whole end game is mobile, which
actually brings me to my next question regarding this, because I know we only got about 15 more minutes left. I wanted to ask you. Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, this is the tangent show of tangents.
I've seen it before. I was expecting it.
How does like what's your guys' answer to being like what Bridget was saying kind of early on in the episode was you know, I have this app and I open this app and I do this thing with it. Does Peepso or any of your competitors have an app that you can interact with to be able to get in there? Like, for instance, I've seen like sites that use like Discourse as like a forum area. Discourse has an app that you can install that will interact with any of those. Is there something like that in Peepso that allows you to do that?
The Q&A one.
There's no app that's built or that. Well, there was one app that was built, was a custom build for a client with AppPresser.
Okay.
Oh yeah, AppPresser.
So,
I was just gonna say,
it can be,
Scott, if you're listening, I keep trying to hound you too. I'm relentless. It took me 4 years to get this Peepso thing, and I'll keep hounding you again. I know people are asking for it.
We would love to have a mobile app. We really would, and it's something that we have been looking into. It's something that we were trying to do with AppPresser, but there are some obvious problems. Like if we release an app, it's going to be a generic community app.
Right.
Nobody wants to use that.
Right.
It's gonna be,
It's, yeah, it's like those forums. Yeah.
Sending people, it's not gonna look great. Okay, when I say it's not gonna look great, it's not gonna be in any way
Custom.
styled to
Right.
your website colors or whatnot, right? Font, whatever. So you're just gonna have a generic community app, and that's, in my opinion, kind of a waste of time, because no one wants to use that. And building a custom app costs money, but people don't
Right.
realize how much money it actually costs to build a mobile app.
About
Oh, yeah.
$70,000 at least. And here's the thing, Eric, that if it's not,
number.
I know, that's why I said at least. But if it comes out generic, and I'm all of a sudden on your website, and then I go to the app and it doesn't look the same, I don't trust it as a user.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's not a good user experience for your clients
And
who have this on their own website. They should make their own app.
Yeah, on the other thing,
go ahead.
we can build like a base for an app. Okay?
Yeah.
We can build a base, and then let's say we can sell like a developer's kit where you get a developer, you adjust it to your liking, and that's it. But again, if we build a developer kit, that kit is gonna cost at least $5,000.
Yeah.
At least. And plus you have to add some more on top of that for a developer work who's going to adjust that to your website and community. And not many people actually want to invest that much money in the beginning.
Sure.
We have had clients asking for that, and I laid out how much this is going to cost. But, people usually don't come back after that, because they just don't realize. To many people, investing $100 or $200 in whatever software, it's kind of like painful.
Yeah,
like, okay, $20 for a plugin, it's $20 for a plugin. But $20 in a restaurant for a couple of burgers, yeah, no problem, no big deal. But no, burger's gonna be gone in 5 minutes, but the plugin, you're gonna have a license for a year or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
People, for whatever reason, they don't want to see the value behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I brought that up because there are forums that are out there that I've seen that when you go to the site, it pops up with a little box saying, "Oh, I noticed you're on an iPhone. Do you want to install Tapatalk? Here's this thing that you can log in and be able to interact with our site in a more friendly manner." So I was just curious if you guys have looked into that and how you explored it.
That conversation is interesting. One of my side companies is a native mobile app, and there's definitely reasons if you want to get native functionality out of it.
Right.
But for most of the websites that we have, I mean, I did a whole talk on this for my meetup, is just the real estate within a mobile view, and just having it responsive and having the functionality you need in a properly laid out responsive website that pairs down easily. And a lot of that has to do with the navigation and the user experience through the navigation in a mobile setting and that much real estate that you have.
Yeah. So
I guess if you had an existing site, I'm sorry, Bridget, but if you had an existing app, then I guess you could at some point pull in that data if you need to. I'd imagine you guys, do you have some type of REST API, or you're able to tap into the WordPress REST API at all?
REST API wasn't really a part of WordPress a few months ago, so it's something that we definitely want to look into. And since WordPress 4.8 is taking more and more market share, it's definitely on our radar and we want to do it.
Awesome.
Not only because of the possibilities of mobile apps, but also because it's so much faster than anything else. So, and it's easier connectivity between different plugins and whatnot. So that's definitely something that we want to do. But I want to quickly come back to the mobile app as well, because even if we're not, at least not right now, going to do a generic mobile app for the front end for any community, we're actually thinking of creating a mobile app for administrators. So you can have a generic app, but for admins, and admins know, they're not the end user, let's call it, so they can trust a generic app, and they can provide, let's say, the username, password, and the URL of their website, and they would be able to log in there, and they would get notifications on their mobile device when there's reported content in the community, for example, like someone abusing or whatnot. So like a general overview of their community, and be able to react without actually using a browser, which can be a bit painful to use in the backend on your mobile device in WordPress, as you probably know. So yeah, that's something that we might look into. I don't want to make any promises, but it's on our radar. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, in our chat we were talking about well, they were talking about various sites that are out there that are using Peep. So how can somebody kind of you know, if they're interested in using it, if they could find some sites that are you know, welcoming new people to come into the site and interact with it, to be able to find those. Do you have any good examples that we can take a look at?
I think I have a. Well, you can look at our own website and our own community if you want to. It's right there, open. But I can definitely get you guys a list of a few websites. We're gonna build a community showcase in the next few weeks.
Oh, cool.
So
We can add it to our show notes.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Look, I mean, it even shows you the admin demo. If you click in right away, you'll see a ton of differences compared to everybody else out there in the UI and UX.
Okay, so controversial questions is my shtick, you guys.
Coming back.
You're a remote company, clearly. How do you communicate internally?
Oh, you're asking them like the P2 question, aren't you? You are totally asking them the P2 question. You're like, so WordPress uses this funky interface to be able to interact with one another. We're curious, do you use Peepso to interact with one another as well?
I'm just saying, like, okay, here's the thing. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Oh, I am.
But I'm being serious, you guys. We're remote. We're a remote team. Slack is like, you're not paying attention. There's a problem with Slack. There's a problem with the way we use Slack. I think.
You think it's the way you use it, or
I think sometimes the way our company uses it, or other people use it, where like the stream is just flowing, and if you're not there, you miss out. And so I'm always asking other remote people, not my company, I'm the employee, but whatever, where I work, our team. And so I'm always curious, like, what do you use? Because we didn't start that way. We were 4, and I was the only remote person, which was 80% remote, and now we're 10. And I'm the only person that it's the C-suite is in the office, and the rest of us are just wherever.
Do you use a lot of direct conversations or a lot of threads?
We don't use that many threads in Slack. We use the channels, but we definitely have. I am in marketing, so I have a lot of phone conversations.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we have a lot of meetings. We collaborate in Google Docs. But I was wondering, like, would Peepso be a solution for internal communication in a company? Is it threaded better? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, you could even set up
social networks.
You could set up different groups for different different topics in your company. Support, marketing, development, customer support.
I mean, would it replace Slack?
No. No. It's not a software for project management. It's a community software.
Neither is Slack. We use Asana for project management. People try to use Slack for project management. That's where it goes wrong.
Yeah, but those are the people who should not be in charge of projects. That's not how you use Slack either. It's not a sole project management software.
It's a communication tool. Yeah.
Everybody likes animated cats. Come on.
Oh, is there a Giphy integration in Peepso?
There actually is. There actually is.
Right tool for the right job.
I'm not gonna BS. Yeah, Peepso is great for everything. No, Peepso is a community.
I know, but
software,
our first community besides our family is our workplace. So you got me thinking. Forget Facebook.
You know what?
It'd be good for internal team communication.
You should try it and let us know.
Good one, Brad. Good one.
But in all seriousness, I would not recommend it as a management software.
No, right.
No.
Not Trello. It's not Asana. It's not basic.
No, but those are Slack is for communication.
Right.
For communication. And in like internal groups in an intranet or like a lockdown website, with only members access and people are all verified, sure, could work for communication. Yeah, but again, it's built with networking and social community in mind, so it's gonna have its limitations in that area. I don't want to bullshit anyone, but I'm not here to do that.
That's why we like you, Eric, because you give us real answers. No
I come
spin
from
zone
Poland.
over here.
We don't
I
put,
come from Poland. We don't have time for
we don't
spin.
we don't have time for bullshit. We're down to earth people.
That's awesome.
Live in
Yes, I
Kuala
would love
Lumpur,
to
be a
say
Kuala
that.
Lumpur,
Oh,
rough life.
man.
Yeah. But coming back to, we use for our own internal stuff, we use Slack, and we use it for communication between developers. We don't use it for general whatever. No, we use other channels, other media for that. But for general work communication, we have our channels, and for tasks to be done, we use GitHub issues, which are organized with Waffle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know Waffle, but these three are the base of our company when it comes to development, and it works great. And we also have a separate repo because we did try Trello, we did try Basecamp, we did try everything else, Asana as well, but just no. For an ongoing project like this one, GitHub issues are the best thing ever.
Yep.
For us.
Yep.
For us. There's also Jira, but Jira at least for us, I don't want to say too much, but we wouldn't use all of its possibilities.
I think it depends on the size of your project.
Yeah. So for Peep and the 20-something repos that we have right now, that's more than enough. And we can easily work with that, and we don't have any issues with development or communication, or our Slack is not overly crowded with random messages. We just try to keep it clean. But I guess it depends on not really on the tools that you're using. It more depends on the people in the company. If you want to, just chat and talk to each other, which is great, you just use a different channel than Slack. That's it. From time to time, you can send a funny cat. We're not strict in that way. But that's
Just
about
make
it.
sure you mention the person you want to see it.
I mean, we definitely have to end the show with a GIF, because that's the only thing that I really don't agree on is the pronunciation of the gist of GIF. So
it's a GIF, but I checked it. I saw the thread. I checked it. It's either GIF or GIF. It depends on your liking, to be honest. That's what Webster's Dictionary says. Conversation closed. Thank you very much.
We have to keep it light. I mean, we can't be all Gutenberg reactive over here. We have
But is it gist or is it gist? That's the question.
Definitely.
Foyer or foyer?
Exactly. You say tomato, I say tomato. Wow, you guys, this has been a great show.
It's been a great show.
I really appreciate all your candid answers. Brad, you've been trying to say something for like 20 minutes, and we're not used to guests, so please say
I don't even remember what I was gonna say, to be honest.
Well, let's let him say something real quick. So, Brad, where can people find more information about your product and about the stuff that you and Eric are working on?
Peepso.com. I mean, you can definitely log in, see the demo, see what we're doing, see some of the other cool companies that we're integrating with. And we'd like to give you guys, our viewers, a white paper of the secrets to building an online successful community. And it goes through some steps, some failures of some other companies, gives an example of a company that spent $4 million, had 2 users at the end of it, which, you did it the wrong way. You get the cat lady who gets 100 users, and that's successful on a $1 budget. Right, so we can give that to you guys and offer it out there, and go to the site, and just to be honest, Peepso might not be for you. There might be another platform that is for you. It's one of the tools in the toolbox, and you just want to pick the right tool for what your application is and what your needs are. So get out there and do some research first before you commit to anything. I
definitely
research the crap out of everything before I choose what I'm going to put on my site. So
definitely. Well, how about you, Eric? Got anything to wrap us up here?
Well, I want to thank you for having us, first of all. It's been a great show. And I just want to thank all the people who are watching right now and taking the time to make all the comments, even if it's on the Give Golf Game GIF pronunciation, which is actually correct in my opinion. Very nice. But if you wanna check out our plugin, you can just download it from the WordPress plugins repository. It's free. The core is free. There are 3 other plugins which you can check, and And if you want more information, you can check our demo or our website. And we're doing some cool stuff right now. We're actually going to release a new plugin today.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I want to say thank you very much for both of you for being on. Like Bridget said, we usually have one guest and not two on our show, so it's been a little weird going like, whoa, both of them. We need to make sure both of them talk. Okay, they're both talking. Okay, good. Okay, we're doing good here. And for whatever reason, it's getting dark outside. It's so weird how my screen always ends up getting dark towards the end of the day here. So I want to say thank you all for being on the show and hanging out with us. I also want to say thank you very much for our community for helping us out with our show notes. We have some very extensive show notes, so feel free to go take a look at that. Yeah, hashtag community, totally.
Exactly.
And then, and lastly, go over to our website at wpwatercooler.com/WPBlab. That's where you can find all the information about this show and the other shows in our WP Water Cooler network. Go take a look at those and take a look at the show notes and click on the links, and as well as that white paper that they provide us with. We'll have those all on the website shortly. Thank you all. Hit the little thumbs up button. If you like this stuff, hit subscribe. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.